Hello everyone, just thought I'd show you a few records that I've picked up in the past few weeks. Finding good rock records is almost impossible to find these days around where I live. There's so many dealers and collectors and amateur dealers that want to buy records for $1 or $2 and then try to flip them for $5 or $10. It's just, records are impossible to find now. Good records, at least rock records. So this is just a bit of weird odds and ends stuff that I've picked up. The first is a Phase 4 album, London Phase 4 stereo. It's called Battle Stereo, Sounds of War. Great moments in history. And has stuff like music from different wars. American Revolutionary War. There's lots of gunshots and things like that in here. It's and kind of national anthem kind of music. But Phase 4 records are always kind of interesting to have in the collection. This is a Canadian album from the late 70s. It's called Del Jacobs Cobra. It's kind of synthesizer music, and I really like the cover on this. I remember when it was released. This is another Canadian LP, just a really odd one. It's called Guitar Pickin' Man by Skip Evans. It's guitar instrumental music, I think. Haven't played it yet. It's on Quality Records, Canadian record company. This is called Gretsch, Drum Night in Birdland, and there's 4 jazz drummers here. Art Blakey, Charlie Persip, Elvin Jones, and Philly Joe Jones. It's on Roulette Records. Larry Young's Fuel, Spaceball. It's on Arista. Junior Walker and the All-Stars live album on Motown. Quincy Jones, Mellow Madness. I think these all came out of the same collection. Parliament, Chocolate City. It's on Casablanca. It's one of the early Casablanca LPs. Wild Cherry, Play That Funky Music. Big hit back in the 70s. British band called Hummingbird. I think they had a couple of albums. And the members were, a couple of these guys were in I think Jeff Beck's group in the early 70s, like Bobby Tench and Max Middleton. Conrad Isidore, is he a drummer maybe? Donald Byrd, Stepping Into Tomorrow, it's on Blue Note. Thad Jones and Mel Lewis, New Life. I think it's on Arista as well. No, A&M, on the Horizon, their jazz label. Billy Cobham, A Funky Thide of Sings. Billy Cobham was the drummer in the Mahi Vishnu Orchestra. Stanley Turrentine with Milt Jackson. This is on CTI. It's called Cherry. Another Stanley Turrentine called Don't Mess with Mr. T. It's on CTI. Another Stanley Turrentine, Have You Ever Seen the Rain, on Fantasy. That kind of makes sense. Have You Ever Seen the Rain is the John Fogerty song, and of course Creedence Clearwater were also on Fantasy. I've played this album and it's kind of easy listening jazz with a very 70s kind of sound to it. Gil Scott-Heron, Pieces of a Man. His albums are quite collectible, desirable now. Horace Silver, it's called All Horace Silver, Quintet, Sextet with Vocals. The United States of Mind. And there's Horace. I think he passed away in the past couple of years. The Section. And I don't think this album has a title, it's just called The Section. But the band is essentially the band that used to back people like Carole King around the time of Tapestry, with Danny Korchmar, was it Russ Kunkel on drums, Craig Derge and Leyland Sklar. Nice cover on this one. Lenny White, Venusian Summer. It's on the Nemperor label, which is the same label that had Stanley Clarke for 2 or 3 albums, and Tommy Bolin's first LP I remember was on Nemperor. And this one is a funny one, and I have played this album. It's there's a couple of good tracks and a couple that aren't so good, but it's Isaac Hayes, Juicy Fruit, Disco Freak. It's come a ways since Shaft, I guess. Cover's wild. There's Isaac in a pool with a bunch of very scantily dressed ladies. And there they are inside. They've taken their swimsuits off. It's around their ankles. And there's Isaac Hayes jumping out of the pool with a banana in his mouth for some odd reason. But it's 1976, and it's a little bit disco-y, but it's just plain weird. Thanks for watching, everyone.